Hello, everybody. My name's Tommy Vincent. Thanks for joining this morning, or I suppose this afternoon, depending on where you're located. I hope everyone is having a great Thursday. I'm excited to be here, partnering up with the Successful Bookkeeper community. We are very excited to be talking with you all today and a little bit about our client reporting platform that we have here at Hub Analytics. So I hope everyone's having a great Thursday. With that said, I know we are at 10:01. I might give it another maybe another minute here just to let some people trickle in. I suppose, while we wait, I think, what we can do is talk a little bit about our background or my background. I suppose I can start there, and then we'll really dive, into Hub Analytics and what we're doing for folks. So, with that said, I'll give it another minute here. I don't know if anybody's been watching the Olympics as much as I have. I absolutely love it. The only problem is that my recap, by the time I get my kids in bed and I watch the recap at night, I'm up till like 11 p.m. or 12 p.m. And so I've been very tired recently. So anyways, that said, but I'm feeling up for it today. So don't worry about that. We're going to have a great conversation. Okay, great. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. We're at 10:02. I'm assuming most people have joined. So a little background. Again, my name's Tommy Vincent. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Partner at Hub Analytics. We are a SaaS-based accounting software, client reporting platform, as we are called. And we've got a background in accounting. We've got a background in tech. We've got a background in entrepreneurship as far as my partner group goes. We've been working on this for a number of years. We're actually super excited because we're only really just taking it to market now. I'd say we cut the ribbon off of it only about a month ago at this point, but we have been in private beta for a number of years. So we're very excited to be, again, partnering with the Successful Bookkeeper and talking more about this. My background is all Silicon Valley and technology. That's my side of the equation here. I spent most of my career in San Francisco working at different startups and conglomerates. I spent some time at Microsoft by way of a multi-billion-dollar acquisition and spent some time there at Microsoft. And I went back into some startups. I've worked on, software applications. I've worked in data integration software. I've also worked in the mobile application space and market intelligence. So think benchmarking, competitive intelligence data, things like that. But that's most of my background. Today, I do reside in San Diego. Wife and I moved down here not too long ago. If you can't see by a couple of the surfboards I've got, people love to see that, and a couple of golf clubs. I promise I do work a lot, despite the look of my office. And so I'm here in San Diego. Our story with Hub Analytics is intertwined, as I mentioned, with my partners and their experience in accounting and in entrepreneurship. So to give you a little background there as well, in our past, and I think this is really relevant as we start to talk more about Hub Analytics, but in our past at Hub Analytics, or before Hub Analytics, we ran our own accounting firms. And one of my partners did actually ran an accounting firm for a lot of years. And, being kind of the entrepreneurs and problem solvers that myself and my partners are, we always felt like there's got to be a way to automate a lot of this, right? And there has been some attempts at that with different technology softwares and different platforms in the past. And I think you all can kind of relate to the fact that some of it has been more hype than helpful sometimes. And so, we tend to stick to spreadsheets and things like that. And when we were doing our work, the deliverables that we were putting out in the market were just heavily based on Excel. And it was a lot of manual work for us. And so we thought, well, gosh, there must be a better way to do this. And as technology has gotten better, especially with artificial intelligence, we felt that there was a really good opportunity for us to leverage artificial intelligence to help kind of streamline some of those accounting workflows to better serve our clients. And so that's how we kind of came up with the idea for Hub Analytics. So as I mentioned, we did launch it, and we used it internally at our own firm for a bit. And now we are completely, we are independent. and running Hub Analytics as a software play. That said, let's maybe pivot the conversation a little bit to talking about more about what Hub Analytics is, what workflows are we talking about, and what was our kind of vision when we built out the product. So to understand that a little bit in our product vision, it's worth noting, it's worth talking about how we thought about it. And when we looked at the accounting process, and when we looked at accounting and finance in general, from the viewpoint of an entrepreneur or from a business, we said, okay, well, when accounting is done really well, when it's done right, what does that look like, right? What's the output of that? And we distilled it down into three primary things, three primary tenets, I suppose. And those three things are, number one is accurate data, right? That's kind of this table stakes. I think everyone can nod their head on that one, but the table stakes is when accounting is done right, you have accurate data, and that is paramount to anything, right? Because good data in means you're going to get potentially some good decisions out, or at least that's the idea. But we certainly know the opposite of that, which is garbage in is garbage out. So that's table stakes. Accounting got to get the books right, and it's got to be accurate so people can have visibility and clarity into how they're performing financially. The second point that we thought about when we were building this platform is, well, what does accounting also do? It's advanced reporting, right? Okay, now we have accurate data. Well, what do we want to do with that accurate data? We want to see it. We want to understand how are we performing against last year at this time, or last month, or whatever the period over period analysis is. We have to have that advanced reporting. We've got to tell the story, what's going on in the business. And so when we were building this platform, that was another thing we knew we wanted to have in this. And then the last part that we kind of distilled this all down to was, what's that third primary ingredient that really makes accounting click for people? And it's thought leadership, right? And I think that a lot of folks here as part of the Successful Bookkeeper community can really relate to this, that a lot of our clients, these entrepreneurs out there, they're not financial pros, and nor should they be, and nor is that why they got into business, right? But what they really could use is that financial thought leadership about what those numbers are actually telling them. And we spoke with a ton of entrepreneurs in the process of developing the platform, did a lot of market research and intelligence gathering. And that's actually what we did hear so much from a lot of entrepreneurs. Said, yeah, my books are getting done. Oftentimes the books are getting done in 2 months or a month, and that was another issue. But oftentimes, even when the books are getting done on time, and maybe they had a chart or a graph, maybe at best they were using Tableau or Power BI or Domo, choose your data visualization tool, whatever you want to use. But it still required them to say, okay, great, well, what do I do about it? I get it, we're a little bit down compared to this time last year, but what can I do about it? And so that's where we felt that in developing a platform, how can we start to automate a little bit that financial thought leadership that entrepreneurs know so well? And the reason we thought about these three things too is, you can get these today. If you've got all of the time, if you're an entrepreneur, you've got all the time and the resources in the world, you can hire a full-blown accounting department. And the problem is that it's expensive. And so most don't. And so they're really yearning for that level of service. Now, we really thought about, well, how can we do this cheaper, right? Because you can get that at outsourced accounting. You can get that with any of the wonderful firms that are part of this community, but it takes a lot of manual work, and with that manual work comes cost. So we thought, well, what can we automate here so that we can lower that cost and provide a better service, help our bookkeeping communities provide a better service to our entrepreneurship communities, at a rate that seems more digestible, and at a cost that seems more digestible for them. So that was really our mission and our for developing this, right, is helping entrepreneurs and helping business folks, both bookkeeping owners as well as other entrepreneurs, achieve financial clarity in their own businesses and achieve business success. So I think that was paramount, right? We needed that vision when we were building this out. And so that's what we've done. And so, I think I'm going to spend, a good amount of time during this webinar today showing you the product, which I think is going to be great. And so I do, I did want to anchor on those three things. And when we got to know the bookkeeper community a little bit better as well, as we went through this process of developing the product, we were talking to a ton of bookkeepers in bookkeeping shops, and we kind of understood the space ourselves as well. But we always like to do that due diligence. When we talked to bookkeepers, we learned that like a lot of them, a lot of folks really wanted to make that jump, right? How do I go from being kind of a bookkeeping shop where we're doing really good work, we're doing the accurate data part, but I want to really be more of a consultant. I want to be over here. I want to be able to charge a little bit more for our customers, but I also want to provide an expansive amount of value, an abundant amount of value. And it's hard to make that jump, right? It's, with bookkeeping, I think sometimes we tend to be so far in the work that we're working, in the business, not on the business, as people like to say. And there weren't the tools out there to support bookkeepers to make that leap. And that's what we hope that we've done now. And, so far our response has been pretty amazing. We're very, very happy with the work we're doing. And our customers are finding that ability to make that leap for themselves as bookkeeping shops, where they can go from slightly more transactional work to something more strategic, something that allows them to be a partner to their customers, not a vendor. And I think that that's a really big factor. So all that said, what I'll do here is I'm actually going to jump into the platform, and we're going to go through a product demo. We're going to anchor on those three things today, folks. So I talked about we want this platform to help accelerate the process for getting accurate data. We want to automate the process for getting advanced reporting. And we also want to automate and augment the process for providing thought leadership to our customers. And we want to do it in a way that allows you all to not lose bandwidth, right? You want to have actually more bandwidth. So our goal for our customers is they have more bandwidth than ever before. So if it's going to your kid's soccer game, or if it's making time for working out or whatever it is, but maybe more bandwidth, but also more value and more business success. So can you actually have the best of both worlds? We think we can certainly try. And we think that the platform is going to help people do that. So that's my intro. That's my monologue. That's the preamble here. So I know we're going to leave some time at the end for questions, and I'm happy to answer those. But without further ado, I will go into the product now. So, we've got a couple of chats here. I'm an AI assistant. Okay, we got a couple of AI assistants in here. See, AI helping out already. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let me know. I'm going to assume I know when you all can see it. Okay. 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 And all right, can we all see my screen? I'm going to assume yes.
Yes, Tommy, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. Okay. So, Sydney, I think that was you. Thank you for chiming in there. Can you see I'm logged into TGG here in the Hub platform?
Yep, you can.
Great. Okay, so this is the Hub platform. Right now, to kind of orient everybody to where we are in the platform, right now I am logged into an agency account. This would be your bookkeeping shop. It would have your logo up here. It would say, First Names Bookkeeping Shop or Best Bookkeeping in the World. And we're logged in here. Now, on the left-hand panel, this is where our navigation bar is throughout the product, whether it be on this screen or anywhere else. When we land inside the agency, there's a bunch of bells and whistles here that I think are necessary and are really great for managing your instance of Hub Analytics. You can choose internal users and manage all of your internal users here. You can manage all of your client users. You can set certain KPIs and permissions. There's actually quite a few bells and whistles here, but we're actually not going to cover a lot of that today. Really, where we want to go is into the meat of the product. How are we automating those three workflows that I just spoke about? So when you log in, you can see all of your clients in here, right? You can see them in tile format, or you can see them in list format, whatever your preferred view is. and you have a search bar, right? And so if we want to search directly for one of our accounts, we're going to pretend Expo Tech Solution is your account. And let me see here. I'm going to move this here. Oh, never mind. I'm going to move this back here. And so when we log in to the Expo Tech account, this is one of your customers. One of the things I'm going to point out first to you is that there are two views here. This is a portal. This is meant to be used with your clients. There is an admin view and there's a client view. I'll let you all guess which one is your customer's view. That's right, it is the client view, good guess. So we've got two views here. When we log in, both views get anchored onto that dashboard. The dashboard is exactly the same in both views because we want to make sure that we see what our clients are seeing when they log in. The dashboard has a lot of kind of bells and whistles as well. You've got long-term company goals front and center here. You've got recent reports that have been generated. You've got profitability recommendations, a couple of report statements or KPIs that you want to be tracking. All of this is configurable for every single one of your clients, whatever it is that they want to see. Now, I'm going to kind of gloss over that a little bit because we're going to circle back on that one a little bit. Again, I want to get right to the three workflows we talked about. So, and I'm going to keep saying them because, repetition is key, right? But those three workflows are accurate data. How do we ensure that we're getting accurate data as fast as possible and without sacrificing accuracy? The second thing is advanced reporting. And the third thing is financial thought leadership. How do we provide that for our customers? So let's talk about accurate data. When I scroll down here on the left-hand panel, you're going to see a module here that we call data diagnostics. Data diagnostics is a 150-point inspection engine that we've created. It spans 17 different categories of accounting. And what it does is you can imagine that when somebody is done doing the data entry in QuickBooks or whatever the accounting system might be, we are notified. And once that notification happens, you close the books out in that accounting system. Your team can navigate to data diagnostics here and run a report. And what this report does is it scans those 17 different categories of accounting. It spans those 150 points amongst those 17 categories, and it flags for anything irregular in the bookkeeping work, in the accounting work. Now, we've seen this be a huge, huge help to bookkeeping shops that have a few different bookkeepers on staff already. You got 3 or 4 folks maybe. We all know that sometimes, to hire the best people, sometimes we hire more junior folks. Not to say that there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to be able to check their work, right? That's a big part of getting accurate data to our customers. And so we don't have to restate things or we have to reproduce any reporting. Now that process takes time. It takes time to scour those reports and those statements and those bank statements and all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot of time as the owner of the shop. Now, what this does is it takes that away. You come in and you run data diagnostics for one of your customers. This is going to flag anything irregular in that bookkeeping work, right? So I can see here, this first one is the chart of accounts assessment. That's one of the 17 categories. Or the credit card assessment. We found something there. Or the chart of accounts balance assessment. Now you can see these are listed from April to May in this case. The most recent ones are back here on page 2. And you can start to interact with these, right? So when we close those books in the accounting system, you run this report and it'll flag everything. It'll flag it all for you. And then it's up to you to kind of interact with this. Okay, we achieved this, or this one is in progress, or this one's declined. And one of the things I like to make sure that I talk about is we do not do the bookkeeping work yourself. As far as automating the bookkeeping work goes, we don't do that. We don't want to do that. We think you guys are great at that. We think that the community is great at that. We think that there's other solutions out there that are helping with automating the actual bookkeeping. And the reason that's relevant right now is because we don't make the changes to the accounting. We simply flag the changes for you and your team to review. And that's why we give you this ability to decline things. If you want to decline a certain flag, great, no problem. This is meant to be as kind of a complementary to your workflows and get you there faster. So if I click into one, for example, this chart of accounts balance assessment, each equity jail account has appropriate credit or debit balance. Equity accounts with incorrect ending balances, and it's going to list all of those right here. Or if I want to look at something like the Chart of accounts assessment here. All parent GL accounts must have a zero balance. Number of parent accounts with a non-zero balance. We have 30 accounts with a non-zero balance, and it'll list all of those right here. So it'll flag that, and you can send that back to your bookkeeper and say, go take a look at this. Let's get this in order before we start generating reports. So we love this. We've been very excited about it, and that's how we're helping accelerate the process of getting accurate data to our customers. The second thing that I'm going to go then, and I'm going to kind of move quickly here, is to the advanced reporting as well as the third piece. I'm going to weave the next two together. But the next two are advanced reporting and financial thought leadership. How do we do that? And most, as I mentioned at the beginning, most bookkeeping shops that we're talking to, they really want to make that leap. They want to make that leap to being a consultant, not just an accounting shop, right? How do we become that consultant? How do we provide something that's a little bit more actionable, a little bit more strategic to our customers, especially as they're thinking about going more upstream, right? And working with slightly bigger businesses, maybe something more in the realm of like 5 to 25 million and annual revenue, whatever it might be. And so what I'm going to click on here is this reports section. So when I click here, there's going to be a whole host of subcategories listed under reports. You've got things like the profile for the company, right? Where you can track their company information, what the company does, who the ownership is, who's assigned to this accounting team, or what users from your customer are part of this one. You have something over here like company goals, where you can set long-term and short-term company goals. You've got a KPI builder. So you can create custom KPIs. Anything that you can do in Excel, you can do in our custom KPI formula builder here. We also have standard KPIs. I'm going to go into a lot of this in a moment, but I'm going to gloss over it again because what I'm going to tell you is that a lot of this stuff are just inputs. They're inputs. You input your company goals. You input these KPIs you want to track. The idea is that you set it and you can forget it. Now, that said, the question is, what's the output? And the output, of course, is the financial package. The financial package we can find here in the reporting section. And so I want you guys to kind of go on a little journey with me and pretend, okay, Expo Tech is your customer. We closed the books for July. We went into data diagnostic. We ran it. It takes about 10 seconds to run a data diagnostic. You corrected a couple of things. Now you feel like the accounting is in good shape. The data is there. It's accurate. No, let's go generate our report then. What are we going to deliver to our client? Are we going to deliver an income statement and a balance sheet, and that's it? Do we include cash flow, or do we try to, do we send them an email with a long paragraph about how their business is doing? So that's where we come to the advanced reporting. In this case, after we run data diagnostics, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click New Financial Package. QuickBooks is synced. I'm going to choose my month and my year for the financial package, and I'm going to hit Go. Now, that normally takes about 3 to 4 minutes to generate, and I'm not going to do it here because that's a long time to sit here by myself in the dark. No, but it takes 3 to 4 minutes to generate. But when it's done generating, what you'll see is this draft format, like you see for June and for May and April here. Draft format means that it's in your view, in the admin view, but it's not in the client view yet. Now, if you ever want to publish one, you can click this button here and publish the report. And when you publish it, it goes green and then it publishes over to the client's view. Now, the key is what is actually the report that gets generated in that 3 to 4 minute period. And oftentimes much quicker than that. So this is what gets generated. And one of the things I like to point out first and foremost is that all of these modules that are in this report are fully customizable for you and for your liking, and more importantly, for your customers' liking. So for example, for the sake of the demo, I tend to throw everything in the kitchen sink in here. But your clients, do they really need a 13-month balance statement, or do they need, all these KPIs, or do they want, current month, year-over-year comparable income statement? Maybe not. And that's totally fine. This is meant to be a flexible platform that you can make to your liking and to your customers' liking to best serve their needs. Now, if I click up here in this top left corner, I can always kind of shortcut to whatever part of the report I want to go to. But today we're going to go the slow way because I think you get a better sense for it when I do that. So I'm going to scroll down here to this first page. Nothing too special here, but it's actually a nice kind of bookend to the report, which is providing their company profile. So you get their business overview, you get management and ownership, you get advisors. All of those things came over here from that profile section I showed you a moment ago. Again, input and output. And this is fairly static. That's not going to change often. It's really more of a title, part of the title page almost. But as I scroll down, this is where it gets a lot more interesting. So this is where I'm going to weave in the third component, which is financial thought leadership. Everything you see in this executive summary was generated by artificial intelligence. So it gives them a full narrative of what's going on in their business, how things have been trending year to date. It's going to give you a little narrative around some of the most variable factors in the business, like if it's COGS or revenue or whatever that is. And the best part, one of the things I actually like the most about it is that you can work with the AI. And we like to think of AI not as artificial intelligence, we like to call it augmented intelligence, because to get the best out of any AI, it's really about human and machine collaboration. And when we collaborate with AI, that's how we're going to get the maximum benefit of it. And so, what I'm essentially getting to here is you can delete some of this. You can say, I like my own commentary better on COGS, or you can say something that the AI might not pick up on. Don't forget your top salesperson was in Hawaii for 2 weeks, right? That's why your sales are down, whatever it might be. But you have that ability to work with the AI. The beauty here is that we're solving that blank page problem. When you sit with that empty email or you sit with that empty Word document and you're thinking, oh my God, where do I even start on approaching this? This takes that problem out of the equation for you so that you're hitting the ground running on how you want to narrate their business. Now, the same theme for reporting and financial thought leadership is going to carry through the rest of this report as I scroll through here. So what you'll notice as I scroll down to the next page, I am still in the executive summary. The executive summary is whatever we want it to be. So in this case, I threw like a condensed income statement that shows, current month versus same month last year, and then year to date versus year to date last year. I've got a couple of corporate metrics snapshot table here. So things like gross profit margin, net operating margin, whatever that table is we want to see. I've got a basic KPI I want to track here, which is year over year gross profit tracker. But that's all part of the exec summary per my direction. I wanted to create that. The next section that I think is very neat here is profitability recommendations. This is also fully AI generated. So every single month, this platform is going to pump out a profitability recommendation for your customers. Now, there's a way for you to work with this as well. You can delete these, you can edit these, and you can even make your own profitability recommendations as well. That's going to be down here on this left-hand side, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. As I continue to scroll down here, this is the company goals that we talked about a little bit ago. Once you set it up, you can forget it. And so we've got a company goal here to achieve 2024 gross profit margin of 25%. How are we trending here? Looks like we've had, one great month and a couple of, fluctuations here. It's also going to produce commentary for every single graph, all of the company goals, all of the KPIs. It's going to provide commentary, that artificial intelligence that you can work with, and you can edit it, or you can leave it there. And it's just going to basically narrate what's going on in the customer's business. Again, more KPIs here, NOI, net equity, whatever it is. And this is kind of becomes a little redundant in the sense that, I've thrown everything in the kitchen sink in here. But if I continue to scroll down here, if they want to track DSO or DPO, if they want to track something like their customer count, and you want to layer on a bar chart with a line chart, you can do all of that. And again, you've got that commentary running through all of this, speaking to your client about what's going on in their business. Now, the last part, or close to the last part that I'm going to cover here, which we think is very neat. We get a lot of questions about like, well, can I drill down? Well, when I navigate here to the balance sheet, and then the next page here is my income statement. When I have these two sheets here, pretty standard, we track 4 months leading to, and then all of the categories, parent categories and all that. The thing to point out here is that every single line item in both the balance sheet and the income statement come with notes. These notes correspond with AI generated commentary as well, where the drill down can happen. So if I was to look at something as simple as like AR, okay, well, let's click on note number 2. I click on it, it brings me down to note number 2, AR, right? And it's going to give me a little bit of commentary around what AR is, because why the heck not? We're talking with folks who, aren't sometimes don't have the financial background. But then more importantly, it's going to tell you, where's my AR today? Where's it outstanding? With what customers is it? And then it's even going to produce an aging table for you. Now, as the bookkeeping firm, you can adjust this to your client's preferences. So if I want to drill in here, because remember, I'm in a draft format. I am in June's report in this case, and I'm in a draft format, so I can still kind of make tweaks as I want to. I can click into 2 here and say, they're not really bar chart people. It kind of feels interesting. Let's just go with the classic table for my aging schedule. Well, I'll hit save, and now that's an aging schedule. And I can change that once, and it'll always be there, or I can change it for each month. If one report they want to see something, 1 month they want to see something different, great, you can make that change in that report. So you can set the template, or you can set the actual specific report. As I scroll down here, these are all the notes. Again, notes on fixed assets, you've got notes on other assets, you've got accounts payable, you've got deferred revenue, you've got tax liabilities, all of those things, all of those line items across your balance sheet and your income statement are drilled down into more detail here with AI commentary already built in for your customers. So a couple of other things I'm going to show you here. First, we're going to run over and skip back to the executive summary, because I'm going to start showing you a little bit of the flexibility of this platform. So if I'm back to the executive summary, here's how you can start to customize things. There's 2 ways to customize, and it's similar to what I just told you. You can customize the specific report, or you can customize the template. The template is what gets generated every month. Now, if I want to customize a specific report, I do it within the report. So as an example here, I can click this plus sign. When I click this plus sign, I can add a title box, I can create text, I can even drop an image. If you want to drop an image of like the company's retreat with all of their people excited taking a hike, whatever it might be, you can drop PDFs, you can drop different KPIs in here. And this is kind of throughout the entire report. You can add these different components to whatever section you want. A condensed financial statement, you can do charts and graphs, you can even pull an outside table. You can do a custom table, whatever it is. All of these things, if I want to add a header here and say, snapshot of BVA, great, and then we add another, and then we come here and we add a table, we can do that. So this is meant to be used and used in a way where it meets your needs, and it's got the right amount of flexibility and the right amount of structure to allow you to do that while still being easy to use. So I'll pause there, and that kind of weaves in the last 2 things, right? We want to make sure we are going back to those 3 anchors, and I'm going to repeat it again. We want to help accelerate the process for getting accurate data, so you're not scouring over statements and reports for hours when you look across all of your customers. So we're doing that with data diagnostics. We want to produce advanced reporting for our customers so they can track their performance and how they're performing month over month or whatever it is. And we want to weave in thought leadership so that we can make that leap to being the consultant that our customers want us to be and that we want to be as we continue to grow our businesses. So that's how we do that. Now, I'm going to dive into a little bit of the detail here. So for example, if I was to go into company goals here, so we're in company goals. You've got 2 sections. You've got long-term company goals and short-term. Long-term company goals are actually more for the dashboard. Anything that's created here is actually front and center on your dashboard. They're more like North Star, like here's where we want to go, and it's a nice reminder for those business owners. Anything down below here is actually what's going to get tracked in the reporting, which is what I just showed you, right? There's also some other ways to track reporting as well, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Going into the KPI builder, I told you I would come back to this. I can click into standard KPIs. So if they want to track cash ratios or current ratios or net income margins or whatever it might be, I can actually go into these and see, okay, well, how is this being formulated? Okay, great. Well, here's our formula builder, net income, net total revenue, 12 months over. Okay, that looks good. You can select whatever KPIs you want. And we're actually adding to these all the time. And what's on the short list to come out pretty soon here is KPIs by industry. So we will literally list the top 10 KPIs that a company should be tracking if they're in manufacturing or if they're in e-commerce or whatever it might be. And you can sort that out over here by category. Now, if you have specific KPIs that you want to track, you can do so in the KPI builder. When you're finished making your KPI builder, all of your custom KPIs will be listed down here. So for example, for lack of a better example, I suppose we did like average revenue per contracted client, trailing 3 months, or maybe labor cost per employee. And some of these formulas are oversimplified for the sake of the demo, but we've got current direct labor over current number of employees. And expressed as a dollar amount, right? And so you can track this. And once you create the KPI, you can drop it in your report and start tracking it month in and month out. And then lastly, kind of going back to customizing the reporting, I showed you that you can do it within the report and that'll change it for the month. But if you want to change your template, this is where you do that in the reporting template. You can see, for example, that you can delete things like profitability recommendations. You can delete the company goals section of the reporting. You can delete triple bottom line or KPIs. If you don't want those, you don't have to include them. It's got to work for your customer, and we certainly don't want to overwhelm people. But all of this is included just from the template. And then when you can go in, you go into KPIs and configure all of these and click what kind of charts you want to see. And if you want to generate AI commentary for those things, I'm going to hit save here and take us back to the reporting template. But this is where you do all of those adjustments. The only things right now that we don't remove are the balance sheet and the income statement, because if we're not doing that, we don't know what we're doing. So we hope you agree. But we also have a bunch of custom financial statements that you can review as well. We'll go to another time. Lastly, I'm going to show you the AI Insights section. This is actually very neat, and this is actually for your customers' view as well. They can come in here and look at their customer insights, or I'm sorry, their AI insights. This is basically a whole section of insights that the AI is generating for the customer around certain areas of their business, whether it be revenue or COGS or operating expense or gross profit or net income, net operating income, excuse me. And so they can come in here and start to review these more in-depth notes. These are similar to what they're going to get in the report, but actually this is a more in-depth analysis by the AI for every single section instead of kind of the higher level 30,000 foot view, if you will. And then lastly, profitability recommendations here. I showed you this in the report already. This gets published into the report, but this is where you can interact with it. So if I go back here to view, you can see that this latest one here was implemented, but let's pretend that for a second, actually it's still in progress. We'll hit save. We can see which ones are in progress, which ones have been implemented, which ones are still recommended, like this one is still recommended. Expo Tech should consider implementing a strategic sourcing initiative to reduce the cost of direct materials, which accounted for nearly the entire cost of goods sold in January, right? And so if we want to look at this and say, hey, let's take a deeper dive into this, in progress, and yep, January. And we can even, as the bookkeeping shop, we can come in here and adjust this and say, okay, well, this is too much. They don't need all of that. Let's just simplify and delete all of that and hit save. It'll save there and it'll shorten it and it'll tell me that's in progress. And so this is a nice way to track with your customers, what value you are providing, right? And it's a great way for you to show and kind of deliver that value and say, look, the last 6 months, here's 3 or 4 things that we've been recommending you do. And here's 2 or 3 that you've actually taken action on. And we believe it's added a couple of points for you. So lots of really neat features and functionality in here. Lastly, I'll talk about, we do have budget to actuals. Currently, I don't have a demo budget, so we need to import this, but you can import it from where you do your budget to actuals. It'll import here, and then you can track the actuals against it. But more importantly, we also have a document section. So you can create folders in here and share documents back and forth with your customers. We know a lot of folks that have that separate from their operating, whether it be in Google Docs or whether it be Dropbox or Box.com, pick your content management system. But we've done it here just to make things a little bit more convenient in one place so that you and your customer can share documents. And then lastly, let's talk a little bit about, before we drop off here, QuickBooks and setting up a new client. So let's pretend that you're on Hub Analytics, you got a new client. How do we onboard them? It's a pretty simple process. First, you create them in their profile here. Then you would come in here, sync their QuickBooks or whatever their accounting system is. Then you choose which parent accounts you want to use or what they choose to use in cost of goods or in SG&A, and we can change the name of these if they prefer OpEx instead. Okay, no problem. We choose those accounts. We choose it for the balance sheet as well. And then same thing for GL account mapping. We just want to go through this and map out all of these, the GL to the proper parent accounts. And we will flag which ones aren't mapped. And that can take, anywhere from, maybe an hour to 30 minutes, just depending on the complexity of the books. But once you do it, you're done. It's set it and forget it. And you can go into that configuration for the reporting and all that, and it'll start generating that stuff, generating those reports and those advanced reports automatically for you. So I hope this was great for you all today. We're going to wrap up the demo now for the portion of this. I will stop sharing my screen. I hope you got a good sense for how we're automating, getting accurate data, providing advanced reporting, and providing financial thought leadership for our customers. I've got some things going on in the chat. Yes, we see it. Yes, all good. We've got a question here. Is this different for Canadian companies? In the profit, it shows state of incorporation. Yes, so for Canadian companies, we changed the interface a little bit, so we don't have state of incorporation. It's more, we just don't include that. So good question. So I'm just catching up on chats here. So I am going to open it up to Q&A. So if there's anybody here who has any questions, please submit them. I've got until the top of the hour. So we've got a little bit of time here to go through whatever questions folks have. I see that there's 2 Q&As here. Hello, please, can I have a replay? Yes, we will. We are recording this. The replay will be available, so you'll be able to see that. Is this used for QuickBooks Desktop from Carmel? Yes. So the question is around, can we use this for QuickBooks Desktop, not just online? And the answer is yes, you can. It just is a little bit different of an authentication process. We have to access that local server, as you would expect. But yeah, we have no issues connecting to QuickBooks Desktop. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? I got more answered. We got those. Answer live. Okay. You're welcome, Carmel Collins. Let me know if you have any other questions. Also, for now, for what it's worth, I do get a question a lot about what accounting systems we do sync with. Right now, we are only syncing with QuickBooks. What we have on deck is NetSuite and Sage as our next 2, which would have been out actually about a month and a half ago. We were going to launch it, but we have just been so busy with QuickBooks, as I think you all can kind of relate to, that we've just been prioritizing a couple of other features before we roll into supporting NetSuite and Sage. But those are on deck, along with quite a few more after that. Xero, of course, and some of the others. Okay, we got a couple more questions in the chat. Is this, Rachel Lane, is this compatible with nonprofits? For instance, yeah, I need a report which is filtered by location and which shows income statement by class. So 2 questions there, I think. So number 1, yes, you can do reporting by location, and you can do reporting by class. It's in the settings section, kind of in the weeds that I didn't go into today. However, with that said, the nonprofit vernacular has not been baked into this yet, and that's actually pretty high on our list because we get that request quite a bit. So it'll still say like retained. I don't know, I guess retained earnings would still be a fit, but all the vernacular that goes into nonprofits, this has really been designed more for-profit businesses for now. But again, it's very, very much on our radar. Okay, Karen Saint, what software does it integrate with? I think I got you there. Well, I guess outside of accounting systems, pulling in outside data is done manually now, and there's a module for that that's actually very easy to use. But what we will be integrating with very shortly here, also outside of accounting systems, is HCMs, which is human capital management. The biggest one being Gusto, or one of the biggest ones being Gusto, as far as small to medium-sized businesses go. So we will be integrating with Gusto very soon here. We're also going to be integrating with things like Google Sheets to be able to automatically pull in data sets. We will also be integrating with some CRM systems like a Salesforce, things like that to make it easy. So good question. I got another question here. Pricing, Karen sent pricing and how do you manage multiple entities? Okay, a couple more here. So does Hub report on QBO classes? Yes, it does. Sorry, I'm just reading all of these. I'm going to tackle these here. Is this compatible with nonprofits? Okay, we got a little bit of redundancy here. Reporting by location class. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So as far as our pricing goes, today it's just based on the volume. So the way we price is however many clients you have on the platform, is the lever that we use. The more that you have, the better the unit economics do get. We do start with one. If you're having one customer on the platform, the price is $250 per month for that one. That's not really scalable though. And so when you start going up to 5 and 10 and 15, which is where I think most of you are all at, it goes well below $100 per month per client. So don't get scared off by the sticker shock of if you had one. I'm just giving you kind of the bookends here. And so, yeah, it'll just depend on that. It also depends a little bit on which features you actually want to add in the platform, because we can customize, for example, if you don't want the AI insights, if you don't want anything to do with the AI, we can remove that out of the platform. If you also don't want the data diagnostics and you simply just want something that reports advanced reporting, that can help us get a little flexible as well. And we're happy to work with everyone to meet your needs and also meet your budgets. So good question. And then I've got another one here from Sydney. How do you manage multiple entities? Yeah, and so you can create basically a new family of multiple entities where we actually can report on every single QBO file independently. Interestingly enough, so we don't do the consolidation in Hub Analytics today. However, what we do is we've actually partnered up with a company called Just Consolidate. I don't know if any of you folks have heard of Just Consolidate, which is interesting because most people I talk to have not heard of it. And there's a couple of other solutions out there actually, but Just Consolidate is our preferred partner. And what you do is you basically create another QBO file. So if you have a customer who has 3 or 4 entities, you create another QBO file with Just Consolidate, and they roll up all of those entities into that consolidated QBO file. Now that we have that, Hub Analytics will sync with the consolidated QBO file along with all of the other independent ones as well, and we can see those. Similar to how I showed you, you can see all of your customers. Well, similar to that, they can see all of their different entities when they log in. Okay, well, how does this location look? How does that location look? And that's another way to report on locations, by the way, for that matter, and going back to that question. Hope I answered your question. If I didn't, feel free to chime back in. All right, Ian, how does Hub make it easier to take on more clients without increasing workload? Yeah, this is why we exist, Ian. So it's a good question. Basically, the idea is we understand people are stretched thin. It's hard to grow your business when you don't have the bandwidth. The idea here is, if I'm going to oversimplify it, at risk of oversimplifying it, imagine that you are a one-man band. It's just or one gal band. It's just you and your clients, and you're doing all the work. It would be really hard to grow if you're doing all of that manually. Say you could handle 10 clients, and that's all you can handle, or 15. It's going to be hard to grow. But if you use something like Hub Analytics, you can start to accelerate a lot of that workflow. All of a sudden, you're not spending your time generating reports. You're not spending your time writing commentary. You're not spending your time double checking all your bookkeeping, which you probably wouldn't need to do if it's just yourself. But you wouldn't need to do that. So all of a sudden, you have more time. So maybe that 40 or that 60 hours you're working to serve those 15 clients went down to 20. Okay, great. Well, what can I do with that other 20 hours? Well, you can maybe double the size of your business. And we see that we see that being really amplified as it relates to shops that have a few employees already. It's really special where you can have, say, one of your bookkeepers can handle 5 accounts or 10 accounts. Well, and one manager that handles, oversees it all. Well, you can start to accelerate those workflows and you can literally double or even triple the size of your business because the time it takes to do the job shrunk by nearly, 60, 70%, which is what we're seeing with our customers today. So, Ian, I hopefully that answered your question. But that is our mission. That is our goal. We want to allow bookkeeping firms to grow their businesses without growing their overhead. Simple as that, right? And growing the margins of the business. Right. All right, folks. We got a few more minutes. We got 9 minutes. I'm not seeing any other questions coming up here, so I think we did a good job of answering them. I'll give it another, couple seconds here, but unless I see anything pop up, I think we can close it down here. And I appreciate you all joining me for the session today. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything, so I think we've covered it. All right, folks. Well, thank you again for joining. I hope it was helpful for you. I hope you got a lot out of the demo. You can reach me. I'll give you my direct email address. It's tommy.vincent@hub-analytics.com. You can get this. We'll deliver an email afterwards where you have this information. You can also email us at sales@hub-analytics.com. You can go to our website. That's hub-analytics.com. So feel free to go on our website, do some more research on your own, reach out to us. We're happy to talk to you and give you a personalized demo and answer any other questions that you have. But we appreciate your time. I hope everyone has an awesome Thursday and a great Friday and a weekend after that. So take care, everyone.